All right, welcome into the Blueprint emergency episode. Obviously, with the news breaking yesterday, by now you guys have all heard it. Sherrone Moore has been fired with cause by the University of Michigan. Biff Poggi will be the interim head coach going forward. The rumors are that Ward and Biff met with the team and the staff yesterday. Obviously, the investigation was due to an inappropriate relationship with a staff member. News also broke last night that Sherrone Moore had been detained by local police. Not going to get into any speculation there. First off, Dev, like reactions, my thoughts were to the people involved. There's young children, including newborns, effectively, that are innocent in this, didn't sign up for this. Their lives are changed. The locker room of the players. The difference between college and the NFL is when you're the coach of a college program, you're taking on a responsibility to mold and shape young kids at a fragile time in their life, 18 to 22 years old. Suddenly they're thrust into a situation they didn't sign up for. The recruiting class that we talked about on our last show, those parents trusted Michigan and to take their kids and help them realize their full potential. And all of a sudden, those questions are going to have to be asked. It's really, really an unfortunate situation. We do not know, and we will not speculate about the timeline. It's rumored. I think a lot of people had heard whispers far before yesterday. We don't know what was known and when and why Michigan came to the decision to move on from Sherrone at the timing in which they did. So we will not speculate there either. But certainly overall, man, just unfortunate for countless reasons, Steph.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad from top to bottom. Just the issues that are being presented is bad. It's bad for, like you said, the recruiting, the players, and all that. And it's so important because, when you have a head coach or any coach, honestly, when your parents go in those rooms and you're being recruited and everybody, obviously we talk about football, but it's a lot of becoming a man and doing all the different things to become the best version of yourself, not just as a football player, but as a student and as a guy. And most guys aren't going to go professional in football. That's just the reality of the situation. And it's great with the new NIL things that you can benefit off of your ability, but it's 1%, right? And it's really 1% of 1% almost when you talk about going and having a long NFL career. So at some point, you're going to have to be a professional person. And a lot of that, it has come into question. And it sucks because it's our university, right? It's the University of Michigan, right? When this happens at a Michigan State or something like that, everybody kind of scoffs and but you just don't expect it to happen at the University of Michigan. And the one thing I will say, as far as the recruiting class is concerned, we have a chance because, firstly, the history of Michigan, for the most part, we're going to find a good football coach. And because of the situation, there's going to be a lot of vetting to see what kind of person he is, the kind of life he lives, and all those different things. And as much as you hate this, right, football, it still has become transactional, right? So a lot of the pieces that Michigan got in the recruiting class, I think they're still going to be able to keep them because of the transactional nature of what college football has become. But it just doesn't look good, right? Because now every single school that is recruiting the same kids, right? Not only will they have some money as well, they can go out and say, well, look what they're doing over there, and that can kind of deter families from wanting to have their kids be at a university that is second to none, right?
Yeah.
An outstanding university athletically, academically, and it does build men, right? And so that's the frustrating part. One mistake or a few mistakes, whatever it is, has kind of almost derailed and I'm sure some people's view of what the University of Michigan is and what it can become for people like you and people like me, right? And I'm so thankful to the University of Michigan, and my experience was different. But you got to send prayers out because people are forgetting it's Christmas coming up, right?
Yeah.
Christmas coming up, right? And so all these kids, they got a football game still to play, right? His children, his what, you know what I mean? It's just a lot.
Yeah.
that goes into it, and it's
All that means
very
more than football. Michigan
yeah,
football is
it's
going to be
so
good,
frustrating.
but
It's so frustrating, and yeah, I mean,
yeah, I like it meant a lot to me when Brady or Jim Harbaugh would talk about what it means to be a Michigan man. Like I really latched onto that, as I know you did
yeah,
too. I resonated with that message. And, you look in the Schembechler Museum at the great leaders that have come through the school, and you say, man, I want to aspire to be like that one day. And when these things happen, those outside the program rightfully question the integrity of what that message means. They'd be crazy not to. But I still know, obviously, there's the overwhelming majority of people are great people, and this is a stain that's going to have to be addressed. And in the beginning of that addressing was yesterday. The good thing for Michigan, they're so lucky to have Biff Poggi there because in an impossible situation, it's a premium on leadership, and having Biff Poggi there is important because he's been through a lot of these situations. He's actually been the interim coach, including this season. I think more importantly, he's independently wealthy. Like he chose to go to Michigan not for a paycheck or for his own ego or for what it could provide for him personally, because he loves football, he loves the kids, and he believes Michigan to be a special place. That person as a human to stand in and address the team. And I know the players love, respect, and trust him, as does the staff. Michigan is very, very lucky to have Biff Poggi. To your point about the timeline, too, I think it's worth mentioning the transfer portal opens January 2nd for all of college football. It used to be when a coach was fired, the portal then, the 30-day window opened up immediately upon the coach being fired. That's no longer the case. It now waits. The portal would then open upon the next coach being hired. So Michigan has a window here, and time will be of the essence to go out and hire the right guy to lead this program where you can keep that structure of talent, that young core in the recruiting class in place. And to your point, Dev, like this is one of the best jobs in all of football, college or the NFL. You have history, you have talent. College football is about resources. Michigan's resources compete with the best of them. Have you heard any names? Do you have any opinions or thoughts on where Michigan might go?
yeah. I don't. I try not to listen to the names because everybody just throws names out, and so
Yeah,
I don't see why I wouldn't do the same thing. And because I think we're a little more informed, no, or I would think so.
I
I've
think
met with
so.
a
Yeah.
lot of these coaches. I know a lot of these people. I've seen the way they've built programs. I've seen their personalities, and these are a few guys that I think that could be the head coach at the University of Michigan, and I think it will be a home run, honestly, with either of them. And in no particular order, you all have already heard a couple weeks ago we outlined that I thought Joe Brady would be a great addition, and obviously 2019 LSU. You just refer to that. The year
Mhm.
before, Joe Burrow was a fifth or sixth, seventh round pick, something like that, or fourth. I don't know. But the next year, he has the greatest season in the history of college football for a
Yeah.
quarterback. Wins the Heisman National Championship.
Joe
Had a
Brady
bunch of
changed his life.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then Josh Allen was a great quarterback in the NFL. Let's be clear, but he had a lot of issues with turning the ball over, all these different things. Couldn't win an MVP. How is he so great all these years and doesn't ever even sniff essentially an MVP? Insert Joe Brady. He wins the MVP last year, so that's a clear a guy who had two different quarterbacks, right? Two different styles of play. However, he's gotten the most out of both of them. I think that's very cool, especially with Bryce Underwood.
And he's been
And he,
exposed to championship habits
oh
because he
yeah,
won
and,
the
and
national
and the
title
fact
there. You
that
know
he
what it looks
hasn't
like.
been a head coach, he's been on a national championship team as a coordinator. He's been on an NFL team. He's seen it done different ways and essentially the right way for me. So this new, everybody's saying, well, he doesn't have experience. Well, at some point, you're going to get a guy that has never been a head coach, but he's been groomed and been doing all the things and taking all the steps. And it's always the young offensive mind, right?
Yeah.
And if he's self-aware enough, which I think he is, he hires guys around him to make sure that that is not an issue
Yeah.
or a crutch that he has no experience as a head coach. And the next guy is actually a
Real
perfect
quick, Dev,
example of
I
that.
would just say one thing to back you on that is I look at the three best coaches in college football right now. Ryan Day was a coordinator, no head
Yep.
coaching experience. Kirby Smart was a coordinator, no head
Good from
coaching
the start.
experience. And
Both
Dan
good from the
Lanning.
start.
Yep.
All three
So
good
all
from the
three.
start.
And those would be the three best coaches currently in college football. All three
Yeah.
were coordinators to head coach. So it's not
And
crazy.
here we go. Let's roll with the next one, Kenny Dillingham. And he's the perfect example, right? He was the hot coordinator at Oregon, right? He goes to Arizona State, a program that is not even on the radar as far as comparison to Michigan in any way, honestly.
Yeah.
The first year they struggle some. The next year, Big 12 championship, quarterback is player of the year, and they're in the playoff, right? And so it's kind of proof of what I was just saying about Joe Brady. Just because he hasn't been a head coach doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's one of the most self-aware, transparent people that I got a chance to meet with this season. And I think that he could do an amazing job again with Bryce Underwood. Let's be clear. Most of these guys are who can help the quarterback, because the quarterback is the most important position in the entire university. Let's be clear, right? Because football drives everything. All those academic buildings, it's because of football. The other sports are funded because of football. So the person that is controlling football for the most part is the quarterback. He is making all the decisions, and if he's great, the university can continue to be great. So Kenny Dillingham, I think, will be great for Bryce Underwood. And then Jedd Fisch, right? For a number of different reasons. He knows the program. He's been there before. He's made it clear he's a good head coach. He hasn't ever gotten a chance to have the athletes as a head coach, though, right?
Yeah.
The program that can feed into all the different things. He's an offensive of genius. He's been at the NFL level. He's got a great relationship with a lot of different guys in the NFL level, college football level. There are not people that are going to say, I don't want to go work for Jedd Fisch at Michigan. Right. Now, some people may say, I don't want to work for Jedd Fisch at Arizona. Some people might say, I don't want to work for Jedd Fisch at Washington. But at Michigan, I think that changes a ton, and his relationships will be big there.
Yeah.
Another name that a lot of people aren't really saying too much, Kevin Koger. Kevin Koger is one of the best leaders I've ever gotten
my
a
tight
chance
end
to
coach.
be around. So that's funny because he's your tight end coach. He's my teammate right before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And his leadership as a player, you could see, first he's going to play in the NFL for a long time. Then he's going to be a great coach. And obviously he didn't play in the NFL for a long time, but what most people don't know, he would have. He tore his Achilles in prep for the draft, right? And so now all that is derailed. He quickly pivots, and because of his leadership and his knowledge of football, he's able to become a coach, start the college level. Now he's in the NFL. And I just believe he's gotten interviews in the NFL to be an NFL coordinator. And so I really believe that could be a piece. You bring a guy like that back who loves football, who loves Michigan, I will watch him just rip people's faces off just because they don't love Michigan enough, right? It was so cool. And then you can probably share more about him as a tight end coach. But Kevin Koger is a guy that I think if you wanted to give a guy a chance who hasn't been a head coach, he could be a guy that loves Michigan and understands what it's about. All those things we just talked about, you don't have that issue with a Kevin Koger, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of, you hear it all the time, like alignment and leadership and buy-in. I mean, Kevin Kugler, like off the top of my head, I don't know if there's a better person that I would put my trust in to get a bunch of young players aligned and bought into him. I mean, he's really intelligent, and it's a matter of time, I'd imagine.
Of course.
If it
he's
isn't here,
he's gonna be a coordinator, head coach at somewhere very quickly.
So
and I don't see why
and,
Michigan couldn't be the guy.
right?
Last guy. And nobody's ever going to say this name, but I've watched him very closely from San Jose State to now Arizona. Arizona is going to be a huge threat next year. You book it, Brent Brennan. And he loves Arizona, and they gave him a chance to be at a Power 5 level or Power 4 level now. However, I don't think he's too tied in emotionally to not take a job like this, right? This is what it is. It's college football. Kids are going to leave for greener pastures, I guess, or better opportunities. And coaches are going to do the same thing. They've been doing it forever. I don't see why it would stop now. And he hasn't been there long enough to say, I love it here too much, where I won't want to be the coach at the University of Michigan. He's one of those guys similar to a Cignetti who has been through the ringer, went through the lower levels, did it the hard way, understands how to build a culture. And if you are questioning that, all you have to do is look at Arizona a year ago and look at Arizona this year. Now, a lot of you may not watch a lot of Arizona football. I get it, right? They're on late at night. But guess what? I've had a number of their games. And I had a number of his games when he was at San Jose. and the way his football teams play, the way they respond to him, it's nothing short of incredible. And he's a star in the making. And I don't see why Michigan couldn't jump on that and watch how he can develop. Noah Fafita is an entirely different quarterback than he was a season ago, and it's unbelievable. It's so cool to watch him play. Obviously, he's super, super talented, right? But some things were unlocked with a coach that has believed in him and whatever the case may be. So I would really love to see a Brent Brennan get an opportunity and see if we can replicate some of the things we see with IU, but except with more money and more resources.
Yeah. I think, what the positive of this is, Michigan may end up being, and likely will end up being, better on the field because of this. And I think back.
Yeah, it's no question that neither you or I were fans of Sherrone being the coach at University of Michigan, just because of it had nothing to do with the personal stuff. It's you're being friends with the team. We've outlined it. If you watch the blueprint, everybody knows Jake, but especially Devin Gardner. Let's be clear. We did not believe that Sherrone. Now, did we ever just outright say he should be fired? We aren't here for that. But we are here to outline the facts of what's going on the football field, what's happening on the grass, and the things that we outline are not. It doesn't resemble a head coach, right? It just doesn't resemble what we want to see. And so let's just make that clear. We're not second guessing it. We didn't,
And at Michigan, Sherrone was basically a continuation from Jim Harbaugh. It made sense at the time. But I think if you're Michigan, you're an institution where there is going to be a large supply of head coaches, but there's only a large demand of people to want to be the next head coach. There's only one job. You should turn away 5 quality candidates. That's the position Michigan should always be in for these hires. You should say no to 5 quality candidates getting the candidate you want. And I'm kind of fixating on 2 names. Kalen DeBoer from Alabama. There was some strong rumors that maybe he'd go to Penn State. I would just say Michigan's different. And I know Penn State was ready to cut Blake checks. Michigan's different. And what's interesting is for DeBoer, you go from Washington to go to Bama with the hopes of continuing high-level success. What he's realizing quickly is he's being compared to Nick Saban in everything he does. The difference is when Saban was at Alabama had the most resources in college football. It was NIL before NIL. Now they're competing with everybody else. There's not a massive talent advantage. So Kalen DeBoer is still a good coach, but he'll never be Saban. And I think he's quickly realizing, dang, they're not gonna. I'll never satisfy the hunger of this fan base. So maybe Michigan steps in and takes on that opportunity. But I really love Jedd Fisch for so many of the reasons you mentioned. I think the context is he took over Arizona, dumpster fire program, dumpster fire athletic department, 9 figures of debt, and built them into a contender. I mean, they were a 10-win program before he goes to Washington. At Washington, what does he do? People like to point out the record. I want to point out the context of when DeBoer left, Washington graduated all their players to the NFL. Then the players hit the portal. Then Washington goes from an advantageous position in the Pac-12 to conference realignment in the Big Ten. And from a resource standpoint, I know this, Washington is a bottom third. They're in the lower half, I believe, in the bottom third of the Big Ten in terms of NIL spending. So for the people that want to point out Jedd's record, I would say he's overperforming based on the resources he's been given. I don't know that there's name your coach. I don't think they're winning with the current roster makeup of what Jedd had to endure this season, particularly at the line of scrimmage. The players love him. And I've called a number of Washington games, and this is, I think, a testament more than anything. Wins and losses, that's easy to quantify and see. But man, I've talked to a number of coaches on that staff, Dev, guys that said, I didn't want to get into coaching, but I would always coach for Jedd Fisch because he's been loyal to me and he's been great to me. And they are just indebted and fully bought into Jedd Fisch as a human being. I think that's important. And lastly, you pointed out his journey, and having a large network is important. Sherrone didn't have a network. All he really ever knew was
you will highlight
Michigan.
that on a number of occasions.
Jedd coached under Bill Belichick, Steve Spurrier, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay. I mean, I'm probably forgetting. He's coached under some legends of the game. That means he has a vast, vast network for him to bring in a staff. So I see a lot of people turning their noses up on Jed Fish as he's one of the favorites to get this job. I would be very, very pleased if Jed Fish was the next head coach. He has my support fully.
Yeah. So for Caleb DeBoer, this has been my thinking. I don't know him a ton, but I know him a little bit, right? The way he kind of thinks. I know people that know him, and I just can't see him, even though it's Michigan, leaving Alabama and allowing for his legacy to possibly say, "Oh, the expectation was too much, so he ran." You know what I mean? Even though we know that we have brains, right? So we know, okay, the expectation is firstly ridiculous because Bama was essentially cheating, right? They were cheating, right? And I love that. I love that Coach O gets on a podcast and says, "Hey, man, this is what it was. This is what we got." I mean, we knew, but it's good to hear a coach finally say, "Okay, maybe I wasn't the greatest coach of all time. Maybe I just had all the better players, and my third string guy was better than everybody else's first string guy,
right?
Because I paid him money." But that's neither here nor there. The expectations are obviously ridiculous, but his legacy has been that he's a great coach, right? He turns Washington into a national power, essentially.
Yeah.
And so I just don't feel like, even though we know that wouldn't be his legacy, the internet is a crazy place, right? Yeah. Crazier things have gotten going, and I don't see him being comfortable with, the word around town being, he ran away because the expectation was too much. Alabama doesn't have the resources that they used to have because you're not really able to cheat as much because everybody basically can cheat now. But I think that his ability to recruit with Morgan as his general manager, who used to be at the University of Michigan, and his
one of the
ability
best
to
at
coach,
his jobs in college football,
100%, and his
who was
ability
also
to coach
at Washington.
football. Yeah, he was with them.
Yeah,
the ability. He actually left Michigan for Washington to work with DeBoer. Yeah. But his ability to coach football and recruit and all these different things, I think he's going to be just fine in Alabama. So I don't think he's terrified of not being successful. Plus, I don't think he would want to leave and seem like he's running away from expectation. Anything is possible. Like I said, this is Michigan. Yeah. However, I just don't see him doing that. But the Jed Fish, that's of course, I had him on my list as well for a number of different reasons. I think that's one that we really could. Yeah,
with DeBoer,
that because it's tough, because you have to think about that of like, okay,
coaches care about that. They do.
Of course they care about their legacy. Yeah. Well, like his legacy, as much as crazy Alabama fans or whoever is saying, "Oh, we don't love this guy," whatever. People that know football, his legacy is intact. We know he's a great football coach.
Yep.
But if he does do that, it'll be hard to defend. And then what if he doesn't have success at Michigan? Now you're really in hot water of like, okay, you ran away and whatever, and I just don't think he's comfortable with that. I wouldn't be comfortable with that. But obviously he'll make the best decision if he's offered the job for him and his family. But I don't see him doing that.
Yeah. If he did, I mean, if he did, the Bama fans would be in for a rude awakening because if he were to leave, it would be because the fan base there drove him out
of
Alabama.
100%.
To your point, he's a great, great coach. And if Michigan gets him, that would be a slam dunk home run hire. But yeah, man, it's it's really unfortunate. You kind of alluded to this after the Ohio State game that the whispers had been going on. We're still going to cover this, as more information comes about, if anything changes, any key coaching hires. As of now, Michigan, it seems like they plan to play in the bowl game. Again, I give a ton of credit there to Biff Poggi for stepping in.
Let's just be clear, Jake. A lot of people in that building are celebrating because they like Biff Poggi as their head coach, period.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for us to tiptoe around that.
Yeah,
they look at Biff Poggi as an actual head coach, kind of like that father figure. Yep. And it's a lot of what you said. He's not doing this for money. He's got money. You've seen the interviews on ESPN and how he's comparing, like, hey, you didn't come get your Lambo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he is intact financially.
Yeah.
He is solely doing this. He doesn't need clout, right? He's solely doing this because he loves and can't say like. He loves the process of the development of young men.
Yeah. And it's genuine. because of
He's
that.
done it for a long time. No guy subjects himself to the scrutiny that he had at a Charlotte, where you
Right.
know you're probably not going to be able to win. It's Charlotte.
Yeah.
If you don't just love it.
Yep.
Like what guy that's got a lot of money, done a lot of really well for himself is going to say, yeah, I'll just go coach at Charlotte.
Yeah.
No, it's an opportunity to develop young men. They didn't win enough football games, whatever the case may be, but he's back at Michigan, and it's such a blessing because now you got a guy who, first of all, has already coached the team, right? It's not like some unfamiliar face, and they're going to play inspired, right? We're probably going to see a different Michigan football team, and a lot of the things that we went through on the film that we didn't like, we may see some of that subside at least for a moment against Texas.
Yeah. I mean, look, rightfully, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of the locker room. Like these players are probably, distrusting right now. They're uncertain, and they're looking for a voice to be able to answer questions that are unanswerable. And to your point, with Biff Poggi, when he gives an answer, his word is as solid as gold to those players. And I just think, again, Michigan's lucky. I think back to, I was there for the transition of Brady Hoke to Jim Harbaugh, and Jim Hackett was the interim AD at the time. And he came and set up team meetings with the players right away, and he met with us, and he filled us in with the process. And then I thought he did something that was really wise. He broke us up by class, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and he did an exercise. He had us write down characteristics and traits we thought should be prioritized with the next head coach. What was our vision going forward? So suddenly, we became invested in the process. So I know that there was a team meeting already done last night, and it sounds like Ward is getting on that as well. And Michigan has a real opportunity here to go get the next great Michigan head coach. Like, that's what's on the table. The resources are in place. We talked about the young talent this year, but going out and getting a championship level head coach will lead to the development of Bryce Underwood, the development of technique and disciplined football, and improved special teams. I care about that. And Michigan getting back to competing for championships, on a week in, week out, and year in, year out basis. So, Debbie, if you got anything else, man, we might just be telling the audience to hang tight, and we'll keep them updated on when we hear anything else new.
Yeah, of course. All my thoughts are fairly clear. And like you said, we're going to just keep updating you on. We're not going to do an episode every single time, right? But you should already be liked and subscribed. That's for certain. But you should also
some people have notifications on because they were quick with the
Guess what else?
responses
Guess
to
what
us.
else, Jake? I just want to say a big thank you because we're at 10K plus right now.
Let's
We're
go.
at 10K plus. You said you'd do it. You said you'd do it. Now, we've presented you with a ton of great stuff, and you have done your part. So we want to thank you so much for all the subscribers. And don't stop there. Just keep on rolling. 10.4 is great, but obviously there's more we can get to.
Yeah.
And stay locked into the social medias, right? Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all these things. Stay locked into that because we'll have updates as things come down the pipe. But yeah, this is a rough situation. It's a rough time for Michigan, but this is Michigan. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Well, look, I bet the next head coach will be joining us on an episode at some point very soon. Whenever that decision gets hired, I would be shocked. I mean, he'll be joining us and helping communicate his vision for the program. We'll make sure to prioritize that and get that done. But yeah, man, unfortunate that we had to do this. Dev, great stuff. I think we're completely in alignment of where Michigan needs to go from here, and we'll keep you guys updated. So thanks for tuning into The Blueprint. We will see you next week or sometime here in the near future.